After nearly 8 decades of operating from the South Block, the Prime Minister's office is moving into a new complex called Seva Teerth. While the shift is administrative, the naming is ideological and significant. Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX Deep Dive and I'm Shivani Singh. So what does Seva Teerth actually mean? Seva Teerth combines two Sanskrit words, Seva meaning service and Teerth meaning a place of pilgrimage. It signals that governance is no longer merely institutional power, it is a moral duty. This framing is now not new. It has been central to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's political vocabulary for over a decade. From the moment he assumed office in 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi avoided the language of authority, instead adopting the phrase Pradhan Sevak, meaning chief servant. In a system where the Prime Minister sits at the top of executive power, he chose to describe himself as a servant of the people.
आज 15 अगस्त को देश के लिए कुछ न कुछ करने का संकल्प लेकर के चलेंगे। हम देश के लिए काम आए, देश को आगे बढ़ाने का संकल्प लेकर चलेंगे। और मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं भाइयों बहनों, मैं मेरे सरकार के साथियों को भी कहता हूं, अगर आप 12 घंटे काम करोगे तो मैं 13 घंटे करूंगा, अगर आप 14 घंटे काम करोगे तो मैं 15 घंटे करूंगा। क्यों? क्योंकि मैं प्रधानमंत्री नहीं, प्रधान सेवक के रूप में आपके।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi often speaks of Seva Parmo Dharam, which means service is the highest duty. The meaning is straightforward. Public life must be anchored in service. For Prime Minister Narendra Modi, this is not ornamental language. It is a way of defining what leadership should represent. Let's in fact listen in.
Seva Paramo Dharma is the ethos that has sustained India through centuries of changes and challenges. It has given our civilization its inner strength. Many of our great saints and reformers have carried forward this timeless message.
Over the years, Prime Minister Modi's use of Seva has moved from self-description to mobilization. This emphasis has been consistent. Politics must translate into action on the ground. For instance, Prime Minister Modi's concept of Seva gained sharper definition during moments of national crisis. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the phrase Seva Hi Sangathan became a central message. Party workers were instructed to prioritize relief work, food distribution and community assistance. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's concept of Seva was not confined to crisis response. It became embedded in his policies. In 2021, marking the Prime Minister's 71st birthday, the Seva Samarpan Abhiyan was launched. It was constructed around welfare initiatives, blood donation drives, health camps, sanitation campaigns and social outreach programs were organized across states. The celebration was reframed as contribution. When PM Modi turned 75, the scale of Seva intensified. The Seva Parv was launched, a milestone marked with nationwide service-oriented events, tree plantation drives, medical checkup camps, distribution of assistive devices, cleanliness campaigns and community welfare programs. The word Seva also features in many schemes introduced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Launched on 15 September 2017, Swachhata Hi Seva is a nationwide cleanliness campaign that reinforces the message that sanitation is a form of public service. Conducted annually in the run-up to October 2nd, the initiative mobilizes citizens, civil society and government institutions to undertake Shramdan, plastic waste collection, sanitation drives and awareness programs. Introduced in August 2018, Seva Bhoj Yojana supports charitable and religious institutions that provide free meals to the public. The scheme reimburses the central GST and integrated GST on specific food items purchased for community kitchens such as langars and bhandaras. It aims to reduce the financial burden on service-oriented institutions. And now we have the Seva Teerth. The new PM office is meant to signal that governance is not a symbol of authority, but a space of service. But beyond just symbolism, this move was followed by service-oriented decisions. Before the Seva Teerth, we had the Rajpath being renamed to Kartavyapath. The name Rajpath was also coined to replace the British-era name Kingsway immediately after independence, but remained a literal translation with the inclusion of the word Raj or a royal path. In 2022, it was changed to Kartavyapath, meaning a path for duty. In the very first set of files signed after moving into Seva Teerth, Prime Minister Narendra Modi cleared measures that were presented as reflecting the spirit of Seva in action. These decisions were aimed at farmers, women, youth and vulnerable citizens. From protecting accident victims with cashless treatment to empowering 6 crore Lakpati Didis, doubling farm infrastructure funding and committing 10,000 crore to innovation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has translated the idea of Seva into concrete action across sectors. For Prime Minister Modi, Seva is not abstract. It is about delivery. It means benefits reaching citizens directly without intermediaries. It means reducing leakages, speeding up approvals and using technology to ensure access. The philosophical architecture behind this is also clear. Seva is not charity. It is not episodic benevolence. It is structured duty. It binds the leader, the organization and the state into a common moral framework. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's pattern is consistent, from calling himself Pradhan Sevak to invoking Seva Parmo Dharma, to mobilizing workers under Seva Hi Sangathan and now naming the Prime Minister's office Seva Teerth. The message has remained the same. Service is not an accessory to governance, it is the foundation. Ultimately, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's concept of Seva is an attempt to redefine how power is narrated in contemporary India, not as entitlement, not as distance, but as obligation. Governance becomes duty, authority becomes responsibility, and service is elevated from a virtue to a governing principle. To discuss this further, we have Rahul Ishwar, activist and political analyst, joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and speaking to NewsX on this very important topic. So, firstly, when we are looking at this entire Seva Teerth, obviously, finally, India is letting go of those shackles of colonial past. We are in fact leaving those power corridors that the South and the North bloc used to represent, and we are moving towards a more service-oriented governance.
Absolutely, and this is a paradigm shift in governance. Earlier they were rulers, but Narendra Modi ji redefined the paradigm, and the paradigm shift happened that they are people who are ready to serve us. And these people who are in power are the people who are having a responsibility to serve. Is an idea that was there in India, but Narendra Modi ji made it into concrete action. Even though lofty ideals were presented in India earlier too, Modi ji, because of the concrete action that he has taken, has materialized them, manifest them into very actionable items. The name change is not merely semantic, but it is a seismic change that's happening in attitude, that's happening in actions, and we have to lot credit. Like you earlier said, the Kartavya Path, the changes that he made. And all along with the idea of Sarvadharma Samabhav and Sarvadharma Samabhavana, Narendra Modi ji has held together the people of India in a very positive way. He has braved through great storms. So, and Modi ji single-handedly, without any political bias, is still the most credible political brand currency in India, because people see him working. And I was so inspired by the speech that you played. He's telling government officers that if you are working for 13 hours, I'll work for 14 hours. If you are working for 14 hours, I will work for 15 hours. On a positive sense, he is very workaholic. We need such a person who is workaholic to uplift India, which is the most populous nation in the world. So thank you, Modi ji. Beyond any politics, I think such leaders, stalwarts, do redefine Indian polity forever with their new tracks.
Absolutely, sir. And in fact, it's not just about symbolism that we are talking about. Apart from the naming, we are actually seeing this being done by a Prime Minister since the past decade. He has been following it to the T. He's been asking and encouraging citizens as well to make sure, that they know that the politicians are in fact there for the people. And he has been insisting that all the politicians also follow this Seva path.
Absolutely. Let me point out one interesting incident from Modi ji's life when he was the chief minister. This was told by a very senior Congress leader. So when Manmohan ji was the prime minister, he is a very well respected person. There are chief ministers meeting happening. And usually it's a very ritualist kind of a meeting where everyone meets, greets, have tea or coffee and go back. But Narendra Modi ji was ready with a PowerPoint presentation. Remember this happening 17 years ago or 15 years ago. Modi ji is coming with a PowerPoint presentation to the chief minister's meeting, and everyone, including the then PM, Manmohan Singh ji, was positively surprised. Chief Minister of a state coming armed with a PPT, and Modi ji has always been this. I think even his worst critics, his worst enemies will concede to the fact that he has always been workaholic. Even when he was chief minister, he was positive. Mere words. He's a great orator, no doubt. He's the best orator, especially in Hindi in India today, no doubt. But along with being an orator, the depth of the work, the quality of the work he has is definitely breathtaking. And I think all the parties, BJP, Congress, AAP, left parties, every party in India get inspired by this positive culture. Their ideologies may differ, their vision may differ, so be it. But the path of action, the path of what we in Indian language calls a karma yogi, the path of karma yogi is definitely there for Modi ji, and Modi ji's legacy will be remembered for being a karma yogi and inspiring our people beyond bhashans, beyond symbolism, beyond mere policy makers, beyond armchair intellectuals, to be a karma yogi in that path. And perhaps that's the greatest contribution one of the greatest President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam or Modi ji as a legacy will give to our next generation. That leaders are change makers, leaders are action agents, leaders are not merely thought-provoking speeches, leaders are not merely intellectuals, leaders are not merely armchair philosophers, but leaders are those who act and change things in a solid manner.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul Ishwar, for joining us on the broadcast with that valuable perspective.